Hello everyone, I am Alexandru Dobre, lead user interface developer at WebTails, and I'm going to do a demonstration of Rubedo for you. I'm going to start this demonstration by showing you this website, which is made with a native out-of-the-box version of Rubedo. Now we can see here on our home page that we have different types of contexts presented in different types of layouts. Here we have an event carousel. Here we have a calendar showing some events as well. Here we have a list of news, paging, and here we have some rich text blocks and a footer. Now we also have other pages in this website, for example this image gallery page, which shows an image gallery using Rubedo's digital asset management, as well as an external Flickr gallery. We also have other pages showing lists of contents displayed in different ways. And we also have Rubedo's facet-based search engine using Elasticsearch. So I'm just going to go ahead and type Palm here, do a search, and you can see that I have a number of results here, as well as some facets. Now, facets allow me to refine my search, and they evolve along with it. So if I just go ahead and tag leaf plants here, so I only see contents which have this tag, I have refined my results here and also the available facets. So I can just keep refining my search or removing active facets in order to go back. Now I'm currently viewing this website from the average user point of view because I'm not logged in. Now you can see we only have 3 links here. I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Now that I'm logged in, I also have access to a new page I didn't have access to before, which is this private space, because I logged in with my admin account, which allows me to have access to this page. So here we have a survey, we have another rich text block here, we have another content list, as well as a map block and several resource downloads here. I'm going to go back to my home page and talk about this administrative bar that just appeared on top of my website since I logged in with the admin account. This allows me to access the back office by clicking here, but also to do some front-end editing directly in context. So if I click Edit Page, you can see that I have access to features which allow me to add contents, edit contents, and also do some direct in-context editing. Here I'm just going to remove this text from there, and here I'm going to remove the 2 from the title. If I want to save my changes, I just click here, and there you go. I just edited these 2 contents directly in the viewing context. I'm going to show you Rubedo's back office by clicking on the administration button. So this is the back office of Rubedo. It's basically a web OS, which is your personal desktop. That means that these icons are bound to my account. I can also customize my personal desktop in whatever way I want. For example, changing themes. I'm going to apply the red theme, for example, or apply the blue theme. But I like the red theme more, so I'm just going to keep this one. Now this is a multi-window environment, which means I can open different applications here. I can minimize and maximize my applications. I can close them, I can manage them from here. So this works pretty much as in an average window-based OS. Now we saw that's a really nice search feature in the front office. We also have it in the back. So if I type Pong here, in the same way that I did in the front end, I have my search results here, and I can refine them using facets just like I did in the front office, and remove those facets as well. Now, if I want to remember this search, I can also add it to favorites. So later on, if I just want to reactivate my search using those particular facets, I can do that. Now, I'm logged in with my admin account, so I have access to all the applications in this back office of Rubedo. So there are quite a few modules here. We have a page module, preview module, content, digital asset manager, as well as some sites and page mask, content types, and some administrative tools here, which can allow me to fine-tune taxonomy, for example. Now, the average user would not have access to all of these applications, would probably just have the ones that he needs. For example, a contributor might only have the pages and the contents application, as well as the digital asset manager. Whilst someone whose job is more close to page design and functional web design would probably have content types and page masks and the site module here. Now, we saw some contents in the front end earlier. I'm going to show you the same contents here in the back office. So we have some events here. These are different content types, and here we have our contents with filters depending on the workflow we want to see them in. We have filters here, which also allows us to filter our search options here. We can double click a content and we can edit it. Now here we can edit the contents fields. Those are defined in the content types, which we will be talking about them later on. Here I have some metadata. I have some taxonomy here, workspace options, and as well as some versioning systems here. Now I can also add my content to favorites, so I can open it later on for editing in case I don't want to bother myself with having to find it again. Here we have different types of fields. We have text fields, date fields, rich text editors, image fields using the Rubedo's Digital Asset Manager, as well as a position field for showing that content on a Google map. Now that we've seen a content, let's take a look at what content types are and how they define their contents. So here's the content type of that content I edited earlier. So you can see all the fields are defined here. I can click on them and I can tune some options here. The options are obviously different depending on the field type. I can also add new fields. Remember, Rubedo is based on a NoSQL database, which is MongoDB, so we can change the structure of our content types whenever we want. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a date field and the checkbox here. You can also reorder them. And I can change the label here. As well as some different options around here. I can also choose which taxonomy vocabularies apply to this particular content type, as well as some other properties here like activating discuss comments or changing workflow options and the workspaces those contents can be viewed or edited in. So I'm going to show you the taxonomy. Taxonomy is used to create multi-dimensional classification for contents and digital assets in Rubedo. So they're basically arborescent vocabularies which I can edit. I can drag and drop around this tree. I can change their names here, and I can set up other options here like the extendable property, which allows user to enter new terms into the taxonomy, whether this taxonomy should be selected in the content selector as a tree or as a simple autocomplete box, whether we have multi-choice or whether this taxonomy is mandatory. Now this full version edition we have here in the back office can be really nice and sometimes more powerful than the front end in context editor, because we have all the fields here. But in the front end, when you go into edit mode, you can also add a content. Here I want to add an event. And you have that same editor that you have in the back office with all the fields and all the options here. Also, while in edit mode, all the contents have this edit icon next to them, which allows us to invoke the full-featured editor from the back office directly in the front end and edit all the fields directly here. Now you see we have some images which come from Rubedo's Digital Asset Manager here. Now we can select a different image type, a different image, so we just select this palm tree image here and publish. And there you go. We've edited the image of our content. Now where do those images come from? They are stored here in Rubedo's Digital Asset Manager. Now the Digital Asset Manager has two different views, one of which is this Elasticsearch view here, which is powered by Elasticsearch and allows me to search my media by facets. There are different views here that I can use. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click on this media here. We have several fields as well as taxonomy options. This works pretty much the same as contents. Basically, there are media types and taxonomy which can be applied to media. Here I have my image, which I can preview in full scale, and I can also edit it directly in the back office here. For example, I can draw something here, or I can, I'm just going to apply a very simple effect there and save the image. And I have just edited my image. Now there's also another view for the Rubedo Digital Asset Manager, which is the folder view for people who prefer using folder-based structure rather than search-powered engines. So here we have different folders which contain different digital assets. So I can just take some digital assets from here and I'm going to file them under plants. You can see they're gone from this folder and they've been filed under plants now. If I want to import some images, I can either, well, just in my folder view, I can either add them one by one by choosing the type and then importing a new digital asset, or I can do a mass upload. For that, I'm going to add a new folder here under plants, which I'm going to call test folder. I'm going to select this test folder, which is empty, and I'm going to do a mass upload. I'm going to be uploading images And I'm just going to go ahead and select random images from my library. I'm just going to take these images and drop them on the drop zone here. I'm going to complete my mass upload, and all the images have been uploaded to the Digital Asset Manager. Now that we've seen the Digital Asset Manager, let's take a look at one of the key modules of the back office, which is the Pages application. Here I have a tree view of my website. Just going to put that in full screen. Now I can see my page, my home page I showed you earlier on, in the form of rows, columns, and blocks. And if I want to see what those blocks actually look like in the front end, I can just click Preview here, and I can see my carousel block. Here I have my calendar block, as well as the survey block here. So here they are. Here I can also see which contents are currently being displayed by this page for its different blocks. I can see that the different blocks have different configuration options here that I can use to change the way they behave in the data they display. But I can't select all of these blocks, and I don't have access to the main structure of the page, which is the rows and the columns. That is something that can be found in the page mask. So I'm just going to click here to access the page mask, which I could also see by just opening the page mask module independently. Here in my page mask module, I can control the entire layout of the page, as well as some blocks here, which are configured directly in the mask and then automatically imported into every page which uses that particular mask. This is very useful for functional administrators that want to set up the layout and main blocks of pages so that contributors can create pages using those masks afterwards and just use that structure to add in different blocks to it and customize the look and feel of the page. I can also see that I have some responsive options here, allowing me to determine on which type of device, based on screen size, is this particular page element going to be displayed. I'm going to go back to my Pages application here, and I'm going to add a new page. So I'm going to call this page Content List, and I'm going to use the inner mask as the page mask for this new page. So I just created my content list page here. You can see that I've imported the structure as well as some blocks directly from the page mask I used. I'm going to add a new block in this page. You see we have quite a number of blocks here, basically grouped into categories depending on what they do. There are different blocks that display contents. You also have development blocks, Twig templates, and Zen controller blocks for different types of forms, mapping blocks, media blocks, navigation blocks, search blocks, syndication blocks, and user blocks. So I'm just going to go in the content category here and select one of the most commonly used blocks in Rubedo, which is the content list block. So I'm just going to go ahead and add one here. Now I've added a content list to my page. Content lists are powered by queries. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a query here to put some contents in this block. Now there are several types of queries. You have manual queries, which allow you to basically just pick up contents from a filtered list here and manually define the order in which they will be displayed. But I'm going to be using the simple query here, and I'm going to say I want contents of the type event. I can also put some taxonomy options here, and then I can save my query. Go ahead and save my page. If I go back to my front end here, you can see that my content list page has just been automatically added to the menu. And here is the content list block I just added earlier on. Now, if I want to preview the result of my page directly from the back office, I don't have to go all the way to the front. I still have my preview tool here. And there's also a more advanced preview module, which allows me to preview different pages in my website depending on the device I want to view them on in order to test the responsive nature of the pages. I also have a draft mode here, allowing me to see contents that are not in the published workflow yet. And I can also set the preview date, so in that way I can see which contents will be available on the page depending on their metadata options, which set up their beginning publication date and their end publication date. Now I can see that I only have one website for now, so I'm just going to go to my sites application. You can see that my website has quite a number of options here, one of which is the language option. We have a default language as well as a list of possible languages for this website. We will address Rubedo's advanced multi-language features in another video. Right now, I'm just going to add a new website. I could just create a blank site, but I'm going to duplicate the site I already have. So I'm just going to call it Rubedo duplicate.local. And I'm going to create this new site. Now you can see that the new site has been created here, and that in my pages I now have a site selector in which I can select the second site. And notice it has exactly the same page structure as the first site because it's a duplicate. But now that it's been duplicated, these are two independent sites, so I can edit them independently. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to change the theme here. I'm going to select the slate theme in order to change the look of my website. I'm just going to go back to the front end, and I'm going to change the URL here to Rubedo duplicate.local so I can access the website I just created. And this is the new website with its new theme. Now, Rubedo's content tools are very easy to use and very intuitive, but if you have a large amount of data to upload, you might want to use the import tool. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go into the import module here, and I'm going to select a CSV document which has some Wi-Fi hotspots in New York. Now, my CSV document has been parsed, and now I see all the fields that are available in it. So I'm just going to select which ones I want to import as fields and which ones I would rather have imported as taxonomy. And I can also ignore some and not have them imported. Now here I'm going to say name is actually my title field, and position is actually a location field, so I can display these contents on a map. I have nothing to add on the taxonomy here. I'm just going to go ahead and call my new content type Wi-Fi, and this is automatically going to create the content type, the two taxonomies, and all the contents from that import. So you can see here that I have a new content type, which is called Wi-Fi, with the different fields I selected. We have two new taxonomies, city and type, which have been added directly here as taxonomies of this content type. You can see these two taxonomies here. And most importantly, I now have 200 new contents automatically imported here, which I can edit just as I would any other content written in another way. Now that I have all these contents, I want to use them, so I'm just going to go back to my Pages module here. I'm going to select my duplicate site with the custom theme, and I'm going to select the page I called content list earlier. So I'm going to remove this content list block, and I'm going to add a Google Map block. And I'm going to predefine some facets on this Google Map block because I only want to see contents of the Wi-Fi type. I'm going to save that query. I'm going to center my map on New York because that's where my contents are. I could also use geolocation or manual coordinates in order to center the map. And I've also added search features as well as places search, and I'm displaying all the facets. So I'm just going to go ahead and save my page. Go back here in the front end and go to my content list page. And now I have a Google map centered on New York with all these contents here with some search facets. So this is these search facets here are refined depending on which area of the map I'm viewing. I also have an address search bar here, and I can zoom in on different clusters and take a look at the different contents individually. So that's basically it. I hope you enjoyed this demonstration. Thank you for your attention.